Well, hello, I'm Renee Williams.
And I'm Billy Thomas.
And welcome to another edition of From the Woods Today. You know, we have a jam-packed show today, everything from wildlife to wildflowers. I guess we're a little wild today.
Yeah, no doubt. It goes with this wild weather we're having here
Oh, I know.
right now. Yeah. Glad you all are with us today. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. As Renee mentioned, we're going to be covering a variety of topics. We have a guest that's been on a time or two, and he's always really popular on the show. Eric Comley, he's a 4-H agent down in Garrett County. He's going to be talking about some wildflowers that we might be seeing around this time of the year. Eric's work is always great. He's a great photographer as well. So look forward to having Eric with us as well. Then Laurie Thomas's Tree of the Week. This is a really cool tree that we're going to be featuring today. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then we're going to have a couple of other guests. These are some first timers, Renee, we have on the show. We have Stacy White. Stacy is the Whitley County Agriculture and Natural Resources agent. And we have Dr. Patrick Angel. Dr. Angel's actually kind of came through our program a few years ago, but he's working on some cool stuff as well. So they got a workshop that they're going to be talking about and some of their efforts related to predator control. And then we're going to have our very own Dr. Matt Springer talking about vultures again. So really excited about today's show. Glad you all could be with us. If you're joining us via Zoom, please use the chat function to interact with us. And if you're on Facebook Live, you can use the comment section and we'll respond accordingly. But Renee, really glad to be here today.
Yeah, definitely. It's always a pleasure. So let's go ahead and get started since we do have a very packed show today. Eric, if you want to go ahead and pull up your camera. Welcome to the show. We greatly appreciate you being on today.
Yeah, thank you all for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so, I was so excited when Eric was on the schedule, man. Eric, I know you're doing such a good job for this, and thank you again for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, Kentucky, this is a time of year that Kentucky really shines as far as our wildflowers are concerned. Spring has officially sprung. I don't know that the weather knows that yet, but the flowers are telling us that it's here.
All right, well, let's get at it.
All right, so I do have a video that I'm going to show, but before we get into the video, I mean, I thought I would just generally talk about plants and flowers and things like that, and the diversity of Kentucky. I mean, as far as the biodiversity is concerned, it's really just incredible. With plants, of course, we have a variety of physiographic regions in Kentucky, and those are divided up. Really, there's the three primary physiographic regions that we have in Kentucky, but then there are other subsets that actually are in each one of those as well. Kentucky is rich because of the topography. If anybody's ever been out and hiking anywhere in Kentucky, you know that we are full of hills, and with that, you can get some really incredible plants that will grow in some unique places. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video. All right, so as far as wildflowers are concerned, they are here, and there's more that are coming. So snow trillium is one of the first ones that we'll see. This is in all of the plants that you see that have an asterisk in the name. Those plants are rare in Kentucky. So this is one that is only found in a couple of locations in Kentucky. And the flower there itself is probably about the size of a quarter, maybe to like a $50. So a very small flower, but it's one of the earliest spring wildflowers that we have in Kentucky. All of the flowers that you all will see in the very beginning of the video are some that we typically see in the very beginning. This is Harbinger of Spring, Erigenia bulbosa. It's one that gets overlooked quite a bit, but it is another early spring wildflower. Sweet pine sap, another rare flower that we have in Kentucky, and this is a really gorgeous flower. It doesn't look so much like it right now, but all of the things that you see underneath the flower are pine needles. So this one is another really small flower, wonderful smell. So if you're in the gorge area and you smell something really sweet, usually it's sweet pine sap. This is one that I just saw. This is called Allegheny spurge, Pachysandra, which actually means fat man or thick man. And if you look, the white stamens that you see, those are incredibly thick, just a really gorgeous flower. Spring Beauty, which is, really super common and probably one of the most common edible plants that we have as well. A lot of people will dig up the corms that are on this flower and they'll eat those. They're kind of like a small potato. It can be very delicious if you cook them like a potato, like bake them or boil them. It can be really good. Bloodroot, which is just everywhere right now, but I would say with this weather that we've had recently, it's probably torn up a lot of the flowers, but a gorgeous spring wildflower that's fairly common throughout, most of Kentucky. If you see the leaf at the bottom there, the one that's clasping onto it, that leaf will actually clasp onto the flower until the flower has been pollinated, and then it will open up. Sharp-lobed hepatica is another that's really common. There's multiple color versions. This is the kind of the purple version. There's also a white version that we see. We also have another that's round-lobed hepatica as well. Dutchman's breeches, which is, if you look at it, the reason it's called Dutchman's breeches, looks like a pair of pants that's turned upside down. And this one has been shifted around in multiple different families. It at one point was in the fumitory family, but I think now they've put it in the poppy family, so it's all over the place. The trout lilies are just simply just gorgeous flowers. Called trout lily because of the mottled leaves that are on it. There's the yellow trout lily there, and then of course the white trout lily. Both are fairly common. We do have one in Kentucky that is rare. Another species of trout lily that we see, but I didn't list that one. And then some of the other flowers that we'll start to see as the spring goes along will be things like our trilliums. This one is it's one of the hexastylis. And this one belongs in the same family as wild ginger. Fire pink is another one that we'll see. So there's going to be a lot of wildflowers that are going to start to come up here soon. Our violets, which this is a birdfoot violet, will start to come up very soon. And I'm going to apologize for the photography. At one point, I got really anxious about putting a signature on it. So this is an orchid. This is one of our earlier orchids. This is, and then we've got dwarf crested iris that's going to start coming out soon. So all of our spring wildflowers are just going to start. You're going to see a real explosion of wildflowers, especially as you get into Eastern Kentucky, down especially where Stacy is at. I know that he's going to be speaking soon, but as you get down into Bell, Letcher, Whitley County, even over into the gorge, you're going to see a real explosion of different wildflowers. And then as the video kind of plays here, these are some of the ones that we'll see throughout as we start to transition into the summer. This is great blue lobelia, our pink lady slippers there. So yellow lady slippers, and I'm going to yellow lady slippers, all of our orchids, they are about 50% of those are in some sort of status, which means that they're endangered or threatened or something that's going on with those. So just if you do see orchids, it's one of the things that I always tell people and trying to express in all the videos that I do. This is another one. It's called spring coral root. But one of the things that I always tell people is that you want to make sure that those plants that you see stay in the natural habitat that they're in. Orchids are unique because of their mycorrhizal relationship that they have, or a fungal relationship they have in the soil. So you want to make sure that you leave those alone as much as possible. This is one of our Asclepias. This is swamp milkweed. And we know that milkweeds, they've become incredibly popular recently because of the nature of butterflies, and especially monarch butterflies, and the necessity of having Asclepias or milkweeds to be able to proliferate their populations with caterpillars being able to eat. This one is another rare one that we have in Kentucky. This is called monkey-faced orchid. This one is actually at one point it was being listed as federally endangered. I'm not sure. I think that it made it onto the federal endangered species list, but this is found in limited locations in Kentucky. Really just a gorgeous wildflower. but this is one that you probably would not see until actually the middle of August. This is one that we'll see a lot earlier. This is called, it goes by bear corn, Canophilus americana. It lives on the roots of other plants. This is spiderwort, a really gorgeous plant that you can find along the water's edge of a lot of streams, rivers, and creeks. Star chickweed, our native chickweed. So if you are aggravated by the chickweeds that you're seeing in your yard, you can always rely on star chickweed to bring you back to the native plants. This is shooting star. And then this is ironweed, which is especially for farmers, tends to be fairly problematic for them. But this plant, especially for butterflies, provides a really important food source as you kind of transition into summer and see these in farm fields all over the place. Once again, great blue lobelia. And this one is a relative of the cardinal flower, which you'll see also in late summer as well. This one got thrown in there accidentally as I guess a summer wildflower, but this is geranium, wild geranium. And so you'll actually see this one kind of earlier spring, kind of mid to late April. This is one of our bellworts. And bellworts are fairly common all over the place. One of our pine saps, or actually not one of our pine saps, but one of our Indian pipes. So this is kind of a unique flower. This one is a yellow jewelweed, or our orange jewelweed. Of course, they are commonly used for medicinal purposes, especially to treat poison ivy. So if you have issues with poison ivy, you can always find yellow or orange jewelweed and rub the fluid on it. It's really common, especially in wet areas, but you can find this one and use it for all kinds of medicinal purposes, especially treatment of poison ivy, which is really important to me when I'm out wandering and rolling around in the woods somewhere. This is a gentian. And so I'm going to kind of progress the video a little bit as we go. So let's see, this is another one of our orchids here. Orchids are so unique. The opportunity to get out and see those are just really incredible. So if you do find orchids, make sure that you treasure those locations because they're really a special plant. This is another one here. This is yellow fringed orchid. I think this one is incredibly misnamed. I think it should be orange fringed orchid because it looks more orange to me than anything, but it is just a absolutely gorgeous flower. And there's a place in Pulaski County that there's just a whole field of these that grow, but it is a protected spot. This is another one that you'll see in the early spring. This is called oh my gosh, my brain just went empty. Another orchid that we have in Kentucky. This one's not rare, but it is infrequent in Kentucky. And then our lilies. So the Canada lily that's here. This picture was actually taken on a roadside in Casey County. But lilies are just really, really gorgeous. And there's two groups. You see the ones that are hanging down like that, and then as we progress through the rest of the video, you'll see another group where the lily is actually pointed where the face is open. So Campsis radicans, this is leather flower. So Kentucky is so diverse in the types of flowers that we have. Really just an opportunity, and I encourage anybody to get out this coming weekend. I know at Natural Bridge is going to be is Wildflower Weekend. There's a variety of activities that are going on. So if you get the chance to get over into the Natural Bridge, Red River Gorge area, they're going to be doing multiple hikes. That's going to be put on by the Kentucky Native Plant Society. This one is another one that's rare in Kentucky, actually only found in one spot in Kentucky. And I think there's about 7 plants that are there. And this is just a beautiful little flower. And probably about 6 inches tall. And so just really unique. We have a lesser rattlesnake plantain. We also have a greater rattlesnake plantain as well. And our trilliums, We have so many different species of trilliums, which they have a unique seed dispersal system. So that's actually through myrmecockery, which is through ants. This is the greater rattlesnake plantain, which is another one of our orchids. So that, I mean, this is crane flower orchid. I mean, there's so much that I could say about all of these different flowers, but the photography, the opportunity to see them, and their native habitat is so important. This is rock harlequin. This one is actually found in Pine Mountain State Resort Park, and just a beautiful little flower. This is dwarf ginseng. For those of you all that are out hunting ginseng, this is not one that you should be looking for. It's infrequent in Kentucky. This is called Sinandra, just a beautiful plant. This one was in Harrison County. So I hope that you are hearing that there's multiple. This was in Nicholas County. This is actually one of our 4-H camps. All of these plants are just are found in just cool places, and there's all kinds of opportunities all over the state for you to get out and take a look at these. Passion flower that you see there. This is one of our bee balms that we find native in Kentucky. This one was actually this picture was taken in Garrett County at a nature preserve. This is another one of our late summer milkweeds that we see. And then Turk's cap lily, which is rare only over in very far eastern Kentucky at some of our high elevations. This picture was actually taken in North Carolina, but we do have populations in Kentucky. And then wood lily, this is one of our other lilies. You saw the Turk's cap lily that hangs down. This is wood lily, and this is actually endangered in Kentucky. And this is one of those flowers I was talking about that actually its face opens up rather than hanging down. And then finally, the last one we'll look at today is fall coral root. This would be one that you would find in September. And so this kind of gives you an idea of what you'd be looking for as you kind of transition through our floral year, if you will. So I am going to stop sharing.
Well, thank you for that presentation. I didn't realize how many wildflowers there are out there. And I guess some of them, like do you have like certain sets for spring and then some for summer and then some for fall? Do they all rotate, or does that work?
Yeah, so really as far as like snow trillium is concerned, that's something that's going to bloom at the end of February. Mm-hmm. And then our last blooming season really for wildflowers, unless you're talking about trees, and I know Billy could talk more about this than I, but like witch hazel will bloom like in November. So if you consider that a wildflower, then have at it. But like spring coral root is usually kind of September, October-ish, and that's about as good as it's going to get with some of our wildflowers. But right now, and I sound like a car salesman. Right now, come on down, and you'll be able
this weekend only.
Yeah, this weekend only. Sunday. No, but this is the time now to get out, put your feet out on some trails, get into the woods, and spend some time. I know the weather has just been horrific recently, but it's going to break soon, and when it does, take every opportunity you can to get out, lay around, look at some of these plants, and really appreciate some of the cool things that you're seeing.
Eric, love your photography. I really do. And your passion for this. And it really helps us connect people with our natural world. So, I mean, highlighting all this beauty that's out there that they can see for themselves. Hopefully we'll create some connections that will kind of spill over into other aspects of their lives as well. So, I mean, I just can't thank you enough for all your time and your expertise that you share with us and our viewers when you're on the show. I
appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, really great. So, hey, take advantage of some of those opportunities Eric had mentioned. I'm sure you've got some wildflowers in your neck of the woods. So hopefully you'll get out and check those out real soon.
Mm-hmm. All right. So moving on to our tree of the week. What's in store for this week?
Yeah, unfortunately, Laurie cannot be with us this week. She's actually on the road with a big old group of 4-H students from all across Kentucky, and they're traveling, looking at different ecosystems around the region. But she did prepare us a tree of the week, and I will go ahead and show that right now.
All right.
I'm Laurie Thomas with the University of Kentucky Forestry and Natural Resources Extension, and I'm here with the tree of the week, the sassafras. Sassafras albidum is a widely distributed species known for its aromatic nature and variably shaped leaves. It is native to the eastern United States, and sassafras is common in Kentucky and is one of the first trees to grow in abandoned fields, with the help of visiting birds that love to eat the tree's fruits. This is referred to as a pioneer species. It is a small to medium-sized tree that grows up to 60 feet tall. It commonly root suckers and forms thickets or groups of trees like you see here. Sassafras is an early bloomer and it flowers before its leaves come out in early April. This species has yellow male and female flowers on separate trees, which makes it dioecious. The leaves are deciduous and are alternately arranged on the twig, as you can see in the photo here. They are variably shaped and they can be entire, which means they have no lobes, or they can have 2 lobes like a mitten or 3 lobes. They are very aromatic when crushed, as are the twigs. In fall, the leaves turn a brilliant red and look beautiful in the landscape. The fruit is a bluish drupe that ripens in late summer. Some parts of this tree are edible for humans, but the fruit is not. The fruit is eaten by a variety of wildlife, including birds like the gray catbird, wild turkey, bobwhite, as well as black bears. The leaves and twigs are eaten by white-tailed deer, and the bark's eaten by rabbits. It is also an important tree for our butterflies. It is the host plant for the spicebush swallowtail and the eastern swallowtail butterflies. Sassafras is an attractive, lightweight, easily worked, durable wood. Where it's available locally, it's often used for small woodworking projects like this bowl. It's also used in the millwork industry and for paneling, as well as post, railroad ties, and cabinets. Sassafras root was one of the earliest New World exports. It was used to perfume soaps and make tea. However, today large extended doses of sassafras are not recommended since it contains a chemical called safrole, which may cause liver damage and cancer. Sassafras extracts that do not contain safrole are still used in some commercial teas and root beer. The Creole spice filet includes dried sassafras leaves, which are ground to a fine powder, which gives gumbo its unique consistency. The name sassafras was derived from the Spanish word salsafras, referring to the tree's alleged medicinal value. The specific epithet or species name, albidum, refers to the light or whitish color of the underside of the leaves. The national champion sassafras as of 2021 is here in Owensboro, Kentucky. It is 61 feet tall with a 51-foot crown spread and 283 inches in circumference. To learn more about national champion trees, check out American Forest Champion Trees or check out the Kentucky Division of Forestry Champion Trees. Sassafras grows best in full or light shade in slightly acidic, well-drained soils. It's a beautiful tree in all seasons, so hopefully you can get out into your neighborhood, a park, or your woodland and enjoy seeing a sassafras.
Well, that is definitely a very beautiful tree.
Really is a cool tree, you know. I wish Laurie could be here to talk a little bit more about it, but we thank her for putting that together. And I will remind folks that, you know, we have this whole collection of these videos available for many of the trees here in Kentucky, and Laurie is continuously adding to that. So before long, she'll have them all done. But again,
Definitely will.
we really appreciate Laurie. I will mention, you know, the laurel wilt is a disease that's impacting sassafras has potential to. I know our Dr. Crocker's talked about that before on the show. So if you're interested or you got a sassafras, you're concerned, Dr. Crocker's got some information out there that you can find to learn more about that. So again, thanks, Laurie. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Okay. So moving on, we have a workshop coming up.
I know, and I'm so excited. We've got 2 brand new guests, including, which I always love to have on here, our county extension agents. And we've got the Whitley County Ag and Natural Resources agent, Mr. Stacy White's going to be on. Also with him, Dr. Patrick Angel. And they are working together on a workshop that's coming up. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Billy. Yeah, this is Stacy White. I'm the Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent here in Whitley County. I have Patrick Angel with me. He's president of the Southeast Kentucky Sheep Producers Association. We have a workshop coming up April 23rd. It's on a Saturday, it'll be from 9 to 3, and it's predator control with our sheep producers. Last fall, I started receiving calls from some of our sheep growers about they were having trouble with predators that were killing and eating their sheep. And as of late, the sheep market's been really strong. So our growers are expanding. We've got more growers out here. And so, yeah, I started thinking, there may be something we can do to help those folks. So I talked to Patrick, talked to some other folks. We put this workshop together, and we're gonna look at ways to deal with these predators and how to protect our sheep and keep them alive so we can get them to market and sell them in a good condition and healthy. So we're going to look at legal issues, what we can do, what we can't do, some exclusion techniques, housing, fencing, things to protect our animals, keep the predators away from them. We're going to have somebody talking about guard animals, different animals that we can use to protect the sheep and lambs, and somebody talking about how to maintain those animals and to keep them healthy so they can do their job. We're also going to look at hunting and trapping. Sometimes, you try everything, you still can't get a grip on it. Sometimes you have to remove some of those predators. So we're going to look at different techniques to do that. Like I say, it's going to be on a Saturday, April 23rd from 9 to 3. We're going to have a lunch that's going to actually be lamb. So you'll get to taste what the product is that these growers are producing. It'll be a $15 registration for that program. $5 of that's going to cover lunch. And then $10 of that is going to get you a membership to the Southeast Kentucky Sheep Producers Association. So that's an annual membership. And if you have any interest in sheep production at all, that's a good group to be a part of. They do educational programming, and I've been to some of their meetings, and it's a really, really good program, a good group. They're doing good work. This is also going to be an in-service training for all extension agents. So you can sign up on KERS and get in-service credit for being here that day. Part of it's going to be classroom instruction, but half of it's going to be outside, hands-on demonstrations on how to deal with these predators and how to protect our flocks, keep them alive and get them to market. So I'll let Patrick Angel talk to you now. He is president of Southeast Kentucky Sheep Producers Association, and we're doing this in cooperation with each other. The pictures on the screen there, those are the three main predators that we're going to be talking about: coyotes, bobcats, black-headed vultures, and there's some others, but those are the primary topics that the predators that we're having issues with right now. So that's what we're going to be covering. But I'll let Patrick talk to you now.
Okay.
Stacy. Okay, so the Southeast Kentucky Producers Association is a nonprofit organization that's focused on resurrecting the sheep industry that once flourished in the Appalachian counties of Kentucky. So the association is working to promote concepts like putting sheep on hillside pastures in the mountains and fattening up lambs on the rich bottomlands of eastern Kentucky, and creating opportunities for grazing sheep on reclaimed surface mines, which there's quite a lot of in eastern Kentucky. It's kind of the mountain people, by the mountain people, for the mountain people agricultural concept. This is an effort to help the 54 Appalachian counties of Kentucky return to the agrarian-based economy that existed in the mountains prior to coal. Now, to be sure, sheep is not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But we believe that there's a really great untapped potential there. So we're working very closely with the University of Kentucky and the county extension agents and the Kentucky Department of Agriculture and the USDA and a multitude of NGOs to build this vast network of sheep farmers that range all across the mountains, from Carter and Lawrence County up in the Northeast, swinging all the way down to Wayne and Russell counties in the Southeast. And all of the mountain counties in between, to provide, educational meetings and social events and opportunities that will kind of bind everybody into a network, into a community of like-minded Eastern Kentuckians who strive for a lifestyle and farming, enterprise that's close to the good earth and which is sustainable and makes a lot of sense in the mountains. So the association has a website, and it's, I think Billy's got it up there on the screen, and it's the Southeast Kentucky Sheep Producers Association. We invite you to come to Whitley County on April 23rd for the predator control and guard animal management workshop that Stacy and the Sheep Association is putting on. We are feeding lamb for the lunch. And that lamb, by the way, comes from the University of Kentucky's sheep farm out in Woodford County. It'll be roasted and with sides and drinks and so forth. And we hope you all turn out for this.
So what's the best way for them to register?
They can call the Whitley County Extension Office. The number is 606-549-1430. From 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. We're keeping a register here. And that's the best way to do it. If you've never been to Whitley County, we invite everybody out. We are located just off exit 15 of I-75 in the community of Goldbug. So if you've never been to Goldbug, Kentucky, you've been invited. So it's
All right.
kind of the center of the world.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that.
Yeah,
You're
glad to have
welcome.
both y'all on here.
And we have Dr. Matt Springer on to talk a little bit about vultures as well.
Yeah, hello.
Hi,
How
how
are
are
we
you?
doing? I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
Good.
So we're gonna switch gears a little bit from Stacy and Dr. Angel there, and part they're very concerned about vultures for some of the negative components, and I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and not necessarily the positive, but the management aspects of the information and data we need to make appropriate management decisions, and that's why I'm here and gonna at least give you an update on some of the research we have going in partnership with Murray State University and Andrea Durock and her graduate student Phil Corveris out there, along with USDA Wildlife Services. So just wanted to kind of get your attention, update you on what's going on, and then also beg for some help. So, it's never just one-sided. It's gotta go both ways. So I've been at UK almost 6 years now, and since I've been here and prior to my arrival, black vultures have been somewhat of an irritation for many of our livestock producers, and they have gotten a rap for attacking livestock, right? But unfortunately, we really don't understand much about the species and the basically the population status. We know that they're increasing based on breeding bird numbers. However, we don't really have great estimates on their survival, their reproductive success. Where are they nesting? How many times do they nest a year? So that's all really pertinent information for biologists to make any kind of management decision, whether that's a game species, a non-game species, or a species that's causing damage. Because it's all about making sure that we can make appropriate decisions and give landowners and producers tools they need to help manage species when they're causing issues in agricultural production settings. So with that in mind, we kind of set out to do two things. First is look at nesting success of black vultures in the state of Kentucky, which provides kind of a insight into how many young are they having, how productive can they be, how much can they rebound if we start using things like take permits to lower populations. How effective is that going to be, and is there a reason to be cautious with going out and issuing those permits? The last thing we want to do is over harvest the population in essence because of this issue. Secondly, we don't know much about the juvenile survivals, so part of the nest we found last year, we put out backpacks on those birds to see how they moved around the landscape and were using the landscape, as well as whether or not they had any issues with events that caused their mortality. So what is their survival rate in their first year of life when they're pretty vulnerable? So I kind of ran through what are those questions, right? So how often are their nests successful is a big question. What species may be causing issues for them? What are the species that are depredating their nests? Because what we saw a lot of times is those nests are actually found in old abandoned barns and buildings, which are prime habitat for raccoons, a known and very efficient nest raider. And then, what happens to those fledglings that survive their time in the nest? Where do they go? What do they do? Do they leave and go visit new areas? So first part of this is that nest monitoring component. To give you an idea, we just used trail cameras that we placed over top of nests that were reported to us by the public. So we when a nest was reported to us, Phil generally went out, found the nest, and then placed a camera on it. The camera is there on the right. The nest is actually over in this abandoned house on the left. And those cameras allowed us to monitor the nest remotely. So we didn't have to go in there and disturb the nest on a regular basis. We usually visit about once every 2 to 3 weeks just to change the card out, make sure the batteries were still working. So once that was complete, we watched them to fruition. We then went to the next component where we actually caught those fledglings, which is a lot harder than you think, and tagged them, right, to see where they're going. And those transmitters gave us thousands and thousands of locations. I think out of the 10 birds we'd have backpacked, we have almost 350,000 locations. So we're getting a really good idea of how they're using the landscape, how far they're traveling. Are they targeting certain areas of concern like livestock production zones and moving forward? And this is going to be useful. There's a group out of Purdue, an association with wildlife services that is building some risk assessment models based on this information. So that's really exciting work that'll hopefully come out with some really good management applications. But why I'm bringing this up is it's nesting season again, and we're lucky enough to obtain some more funding to continue this work to provide more of insight into the ecology of the species. So we're looking for these nests. So if you're out and about, it's good to know what to look for if you're interested. And first and foremost, these guys generally would nest in rocky crevices and hollow logs, but now we're seeing them in abandoned barns and sheds at ground level, elevated in lofts. And there really is no nest per se, like robins build. It's kind of, they just plop 2 eggs on the ground. There may be a depression around it. They may bring junk and trash in to that area to kind of make it appear like a nest. But for the most part, it looks like this, just 2 eggs on the ground, and it's almost always 2 eggs. All of our nests had that. So common places you'll see this are buildings like this old barn, where you may see just in the corner right over there on ground level in the dirt are 2 eggs. That's a vulture nest. Sometimes they're a little bit better than that and more defined. This is in the second story of an abandoned farmhouse in a pasture where there's actually hay was being stored there. And you could see that there's kind of a little gully there in the hay that they made where these 2 chicks, which are right there in the corner, are growing up. They, over time, and sometimes we found nests that were reported to us when the birds were halfway through their development. They weren't little tiny chicks anymore. They were almost the size of adult chickens. And we got to see, because they start venturing out a little bit and they start limbing, where they'll start exploring their area, and they become more visible at that time. So one of the things you have to be able to do if you want to participate, is you'll get information at the end of this talk on how to do this, but you want to make sure you have the ability to identify the vultures we're looking for. We're interested in black vultures, not turkey vultures. So black vultures are generally smaller. They have a darker head, right? Black gray. They're darker plumage overall, whereas the turkey vulture has a red head and is a little bit browner in plumage, as you can see in the picture here. And black vultures tend to fly a little bit different than turkey vultures, where they'll flap their wings more often. They're quicker flap, where they're shorter and more intense, whereas turkey vultures have very long, drawn out flaps that are few and far between. They also have slightly different silhouettes, where the turkey vulture kind of has a V in its silhouette that takes its wingtips back a little bit. The black vultures is pretty much straight out, and the wingtips aren't really spread out. Turkey vultures also have this silver lining, the feathers that runs from the body to the wingtips, where black vultures is only on the edge of the wingtips. Those last primary feathers have a silver underneath. So that's kind of how you can identify. Now, generally what you're looking for is a vulture sitting in a barn roof. They hang out really close to the nest for anywhere around 6 weeks before they even start laying. They will frequently go in and out of those areas. And then, as I mentioned earlier, as those younger vultures start exploring, you'll start seeing them doing similar things. They won't necessarily leave the area, but they will hop up on the roof and start walking around the roof. Any information relative to nests is important information for us because we're kind of the biggest study that's ever happened on the species. So anything we can get in terms of, any information relative to nest success, how many eggs they had, where it was, did they survive, where, what kind of building was it in, is all important to help understand the ecology of the species, which will lead to better management of the species and hopefully deal with some of those depredation issues. Now, if you want to report, if you found a nest or think you found a nest and you want to report it, the best thing you can do is use this email address here, msu.blackvultures@murraystate.edu. That's checked by the graduate student, Phil Corveris, on a regular basis. Or you can call or text him at 270-288-6097. These are sometimes very obvious. When you're walking in a building, you see 2 nests in the ground or 2 eggs in the ground. You're like, there's a black vulture nest. Sometimes they're hidden, but generally you'll see birds hanging out in a building consistently day in, day out is a really good indicator that there's probably a nest in that building. Any help you can provide us is greatly appreciated, and we'll try to respond, as quick as we can to it. Unfortunately, we're logistically constrained in certain situations. If you're out in the county where you may be 3 hours away from us and you're the only one out there, we may turn down that situation. But that's something that we're hoping never to have to do. So with that said, here's one more cute picture of vultures in case you really like them. They are adorable, aren't they? Face only a mother would love. Yeah, they are something. No, they're really neat animals. They serve a really important purpose in terms of removing dead animals off the landscape. That ecological service is incredibly important, especially when you start thinking about like antibiotic resistant bacteria. These guys are the ones that are taking those things out of the landscape, so those little guys can't reproduce and develop those resistances. So in that sense, they are really important. We just don't like it when they get fond of tasting calves or sheep.
Right, yeah.
That's true too.
Dr. Angel's like, yes, yeah.
Yeah. We did have a question. Is the predatory adaptation limited to a specific region of the country?
So this is a pretty widespread situation. It's estimated that there's about 2,000 to 3,000 calves lost in the United States every year to black vultures. Mm-hmm. Small amount when you think about it, all predators in general. So whether that's coyotes, bobcats, vultures, wolves, mountain lions, grizzly bears add up to about 0.01% of all livestock losses annually. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking about, I have 5 calves that I lost to black vultures this year and you only have 20 cows, that's a big loss for someone.
Right.
So it is something that's nationwide, and it seems to hit areas and like hot spots where you have a big problem in one locale. And if you're that producer, it can be a huge issue, which is why this is really important.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah,
all right. Well, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's great. Dr. Springer, I love seeing you kind of partnering with some of our regional universities as well. I think it's great. Good work.
There are wonderful people everywhere.
Yes,
that
no
can
doubt.
help get the job done.
No doubt.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Well, thanks again. All right, Billy. Well, today's show is wrapped up, but we are coming on our 100th show coming up on April 20th.
If we were in television, this would be a syndication moment, right?
Exactly, right?
We reached that 100 episode mile mark. No, we're just so excited about this upcoming show, Renee. And it's really all about our viewers. We're really just so thankful for our viewers. They've given us such good feedback over the last couple of years. And, it's just really a pleasure to kind of work with them and work with the whole team and our county agents out there. It's just been a real pleasure so far.
And you know what? Because it is all about our viewers, we are going to give back to our viewers. And so this is our 100th show. So we are going to give 100 prizes away.
Wow.
Yes. So we are going to have on our website, you can go to fromthewoodstoday.com and we will have a link there. And you can actually register for some of these prizes. And I'm just going to give you a couple ideas of what some of the prizes are. You can win a canoe trip for 2 on the Elkhorn.
Awesome. Awesome.
Right? I mean,
eligible? Are we eligible for this?
no, we're not. Unfortunately, we Cherry Ridge Wood Products has given us a memory box made out of wood.
God makes such beautiful products.
Yes, it is beautiful. And you have been gracious enough to offer us free woodland owner short course.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll
registration.
attract some woodland owners that want to participate in this as well.
Yes, and definitely. And Ellen Crocker gave us Forest Health registrations, and we have a ton of UK gear, t-shirts, hats, mugs. Matt's going to give us some snake posters, so we have a ton of things to give away. And next week, we'll actually be giving you a few more clues on what we might be giving away. But I just wanted to let you know that there are some things you have to do in order to get this.
Right. Yeah. It's really important. We've got a little kind of competition, or not really competition, more of a contest, I guess, that you can enter. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to give you a couple of keywords that are going to be required to enter.
I don't have an answer to that.
And that is going to allow you to get access to it. So we're going to give you one of the code words today, and we're going to give you another code word next week. And you'll have to enter both those code words to be eligible for the prizes. So today's code word is green. Today's code word is green. There you go.
Green.
So you got the code word for today. So use that and come back next week or watch the recording of next week's show and make sure that you get the next code word so that you can enter this contest. Because Renee, you really haven't talked about like the biggest prize that's coming.
I haven't, and I'm not going to.
All right, we'll have to say that for next week then. So, but again, Renee, it's so exciting to be coming up on our 100th episode. But again, it's about you all out there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for giving us feedback and letting others know about it. Anything we could do to connect our folks to our forests and natural resources is a good thing. And we want to try to support that wherever we can.
And it's wonderful that our 100th show happens to pop up on Earth Day.
I mean,
you can't get any better than that, right?
It's like we planned it. Yeah,
I know, but we didn't. But it works out well. And we have a lot of our team that are going to be doing videos, and our show might run a little longer that day, but that's okay. We'll have a tree ID. We're going to have Earth Day. Ellen's going to be talking about invasive species. And we even have how tree plantings affects birds. So it's just a lot of good information. But again, make sure you write down the 20th at 11 o'clock on your calendars, because we will be announcing not all 100, but we will be announcing some of the prize winners.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And thank you again. Help us celebrate this. Spread the word, let others know about it. And we really, really do appreciate you all.
We do. All right. Until then, we will see you next week for the next code, and we'll see you at 11. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
From the woods today.